Greetings, my name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Welcome to Sunday, farting around and figuring out more Tiny Whoop stuff. Q&A live stream, as always. Drop any questions that you've got in the chat. We'll talk about them. And then if we have some time at the end, we are going to dive into the discussion, the thought process, of Side Aero. Just Aero in general, to be honest. Something that I've noticed, and others have noticed too, actually Quad66 was just talking about this on his video. I don't know if he maybe heard me talking about it, or if... I hope not. I hope that he just kind of thought about this on his own. The height of the ducts is something that I'm pretty sure has a more significant impact on flight performance than we are than we sort of previously realized. Works every time. On the left is the new BetaFPV Air 65 V2 frame. On the right is the Newbie Drone Cockroach 65 V3. And here we go. And then on the left there is the Newbie Drone Light AF frame. So you can see the Light AF frame. The Light AF frame and the Air 65. Why does it work every single time? I wish it didn't. I would stop doing it if it didn't work. You can see the profile, the height of the prop guard part of the frame on the Light AF and the Air 65 V2 is fairly narrow top to bottom. And then we pan over here to the Cockroach 65 V3 and it's quite a bit taller. The height of the duct is something that I've absolutely noticed a difference on my Cinewhoops. This is my analog Cinewhoop. Both of my main working rigs, both of my main Cinewhoops that I have flown now, I'm probably into the thousands of batteries on set with over the last 4 years of doing professional gigs. They're both FPV Cycle Cinesplore frame builds. Super similar. The analog one is a little bit lighter. The digital one is a little bit heavier. The digital one is on 2104 motors. The analog one is on 2004 motors. Since the digital one is a little bit heavier because of the Vista, I put the slightly bigger motors on there. When I fly the two of them, I can't tell the difference. Well, when I fly the two of them on the same ducts, I can't tell a difference. I don't have them on the same ducts though. The ducts for the way that the Cinewhoop mounts ducts, there's 3 M2 screws on each one. So it's 12 screws to pull the ducts off and on. If I'm going to a gig where I need to fly infinitely slow, I will bring the analog setup because that is on Cloud 149 ducts, which are very tall. The digital build is on the StanFPV HQ port ducts, which are probably like a half an inch less tall. That rig does absolutely everything beautifully. This guy on the taller ducts goes really slow, really well. You can push it a little bit faster, but it doesn't feel as good because of the height of the ducts. I've attached a bunch of quacking ass ducts to these builds, and the more ducts you bolt to it, the more blood. No, yeah, there's an absolute difference between the way that these two things fly when they have the different ducts on them. And so, why wouldn't Tinywhoops follow the same sort of principle? I have everything that I've kind of noticed with flying the Cinewhoops in terms of like props in versus props out, power to weight ratio, translates perfectly to Tinywhoop. It's kind of funny. Like, I fly tons of Tinywhoop batteries here on the live streams. I fly lots of Cinewhoop batteries outside of the live streams on gigs. And like every once in a while, I'll learn something with one that I apply to the other. And like, I swear to God, there are situations where I'm like, nah, this only applies to really lightweight rigs that I'm kind of flying freestyle. And then, sure as shit, I'll try whatever that is on the bigger stuff, and it'll absolutely apply. And vice versa. Like, props in is the perfect example of this. A couple of years ago, Mark Spatz, UAV Tech, put out a video with Cinewhoops talking about how he had a client that he was tuning for, and the one thing that the client really wanted was the ability to drop elevation cleanly with his Cinewhoop. And Mark says, the thing that I did to this build that made the biggest difference, regardless of the tune and the filtering, none of that shit really made nearly as big of a difference as going from props out to props in. And we're going like 3 years back in time now. And I watch absolutely everything that Mark puts out. I saw this. I immediately did it on my Cinewhoops, and it made an unbelievable difference in dropping altitude. Be that just flying along and then just chopping the throttle, or putting the nose down and diving. And so I did it with all the Cinewhoops. I was super happy with it. And then one day I was like, this would probably apply to the Tinywhoops as well. Did it to a couple of Tinywhoops. I haven't, at the time, I wasn't able to notice as drastic. It didn't like jump out at me, mainly because I fly Tinywhoop in an 8-foot tall space, right? Typically down here, and then like upstairs, which is, I don't know, maybe like 15-foot ceilings. I thought I could maybe tell a difference, but I didn't really notice it until I did a giant dive. And that was just recently, actually. I will show it to you. At this crazy hotel on Maggie and I's 4-year date-iversary. I booked us this. I booked us a room at this really cool hotel, and right when we were leaving, I flew a battery with a tiny whoop, and I have never experienced such clean dive performance. I've done big dives like this before with tiny whoops, very similar tiny whoops, same motors, same frame, same canopy, and they would always wind up a little bit. You would go to dive, and they would push forward. They don't, when they're props in, here you go, they just fall dead straight down. That's me adding throttle towards the end there. Let me see if I get one 0 throttle all the way to the bottom. Here you go. Just straight fucking down. Straight down. No winding up whatsoever. You compare that to, we'll go back a couple years here. You compare that to, was it 2023? Yeah, 2023 Monster Jam. Here's a super similar rig. Massive dive. And you should be able to see the difference. So this is now props out. And now this is like the 4th battery. I was having a super hard time fighting this behavior. And so I tried everything that I possibly could from a flying perspective to not have this thing wind up. And it just wouldn't. The props out versus props in, there is an absolute difference. Here you go. This is me like pushing it out towards the wall, and it charges forward. It winds. There's something strange going on with props out versus props in, where when you're 0 throttle and you're falling straight down, props in does not have to wind the motors up to fix any to fix whatever wobbling is going on, right? Like, the only reason why the PID loop is winding the motors up is that it's trying to fix error, right? Error in the form of like shaking or like whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. When your props out, you do not get as good dive performance. This is a super similar environment here, right? Indoors, no wind. That's me even like pushing it. See how I pushed it? I tried to generate a little bit of forward momentum here and then turn it over 0 throttle, and it kills that momentum and it starts driving forward again. And so there's something going on. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't matter. We know that it exists. We know that props in gives us better dive performance. And that's an aerodynamic thing, right? That has nothing to do with tuning. That has nothing to do with filters. It is an aerodynamic difference in the way that the quad performs when you're 0 throttle and when it's falling straight down. For the record, this also happens when you're falling down flat. It happens when you're nose down a little bit. It's not just when you're like this. One of the ways to fight against that, if you find yourself in a scenario where like it's happening and your props in, because look, if you try to do a dive in the wind, even if your props in, it's going to try to fight against that wind, and it's going to wind up. These dives were so clean because I was indoors and there was no wind at all. As soon as there's wind, this all kind of goes out the window, but props in still will always perform better than props out, right? In this scenario where you're dropping elevation quickly. But hold on, high right. Nope, I need a high left. I got to switch this thing over to props in. And so, yeah, the aerodynamics of these things absolutely makes a difference, and I don't think that we think about it enough. I don't think that we give it as much thought and whatnot. And so the other day when I was flying around, I think with this rig, I had flown another build that was on a V3 frame with a Mobile 6 old school canopy. And then I started flying this guy around, and I noticed that it felt kind of slidey. And they were both on tri-blades. Um, and also recently I did some testing with the new HQ quad blades, and they felt more grippy. That was like the main part of that thing that I noticed during that live stream when we were testing these. I was like, yeah, I can absolutely feel the a little bit more sort of grippiness with these. But what's interesting is this is actually on a light AF frame, which is very, very narrow here. The duct this is actually the most narrow duct. The light AF is going to be the slipperiest. It's got the most narrow duct. The Air 65 V2 is very similar, just a little bit taller. And then the Cockroach 65 V3 is absolutely the tallest, like big difference. And so I'm flying this thing around and I'm like, man, this thing feels kind of slidey. And I just, like, between battery changes, I just happened to, like, pick it up. And I just kind of looked at it. And I'm like, well, yeah, of course it's slidey. Look at, there's nothing to stop it. Like, if you're flying straight and then you turn to the side flat, it's super aerodynamic, which is not necessarily what we want for like really technical in tight flying in a small space right inside the house. And so that's what kind of got me thinking about it, and I'm super excited to test it here today. That's what we're going to test. I've got two builds that are... This build could be a little bit more extreme if I put it on the light AF frame, but I think this is good enough. We'll stick with this setup. I've had this build put together for a while now. I'm really used to the way it flies. It flies great. And so I like that. When I'm doing this testing, it really helps me if I fly something that like I've been flying a lot and that I'm really used to. And so this will be an excellent benchmark. This should be significantly more slidey. And then I switched this AIO and canopy over to this frame, which has the same motors. These guys both have Weebleed 0702 40,000 kV motors. They're both about to have the same propellers. I'm switching the propellers out on this guy right now, but they're both going to have HQ 1.2 by 0.9 by 3 propellers. But if you look at this guy cross-sectionally, the ducts are a lot taller, and this canopy is much more of an obstruction, right? Like, you can see way more of my face through this canopy than you can this canopy, right? And so this guy should be again, think about flying straight and then you turn to the side flat. Look how much cross section there is on this to put the brakes on and to just slow it down. I also started thinking about this because I was playing some flight footage from the little Lululemon Sunday stroll gig that I did a week or two ago. And I came in on an approach to like their logo, and I flattened out a little bit, and the Cinewhoop just like put on the brakes and like stopped really drastically. And somebody in the chat was like, "How the hell did you do that? How did you get that? Like, how did you go from traveling so fast to all of a sudden just slamming on the brakes and stopping?" You know, the real answer is that I slowly pitched it back so that you didn't really notice me pitching back. But what I didn't do is this, right? I didn't like come in and flare the thing and hammer the throttle, because you can't do that because you look straight up into the air, right? Like if if the camera is the subject that I'm approaching, if I come down here booking it, all I can really do is flatten out. If I do anything more than flatten out, I lose the shot. The subject goes off the bottom of the screen and it's gone. And that started another discussion of like Cinewhoops with proper ducts. The FPV industry has like sort of lost its mind, in my opinion, when it comes to Cinewhoops. I don't even really consider them Cinewhoops anymore. You can't really buy a Cinewhoop at this point. All you can buy are these pusher style rigs that have like this much prop protection, and when there's this much of a duct, it's aerodynamically, it doesn't do anything. Similar to these tiny whoops with these really thin prop guards on them. Some people, racers, people that just have a bigger space to fly in are going to absolutely love the way that this flies. I don't hate the way that this flies. But it almost flies like an open prop rig. And for like really tight technical stuff in the basement here, this might not be the best option. You could absolutely get used to this in the scenario that we're talking about here with a simple 90-degree turn. If you want to do that accurately with this rig, instead of turning totally flat, you're going to turn with more roll, like a racer, and you're going to use this thrust to kill the momentum going in this direction. I don't like to fly like that. I prefer flying very flat. I'm primarily a cinematic FPV pilot. I like the way that it looks to fly very flat. I also find that it's easier. Flying down here in the basement is outrageously difficult. Every single person that's ever come over here and flown tiny whoops around here is like, Jesus Christ, dude, this is tight. Like, there's a lot going on. And there is, man. I've got a ton of gates hanging. There's shelves. There's all kinds of stuff. And so try to make my life a little bit easier and try to hit more tricks down here because that's what's super fun for me. I have a feeling that this is going to be a better sort of platform for me. But we're going to find out together. If you like me doing this kind of stuff so that you can learn and you can adjust your builds to fly better for whatever space that you're in, head on over to CiottiFPV.com and click some buttons for me, my friends. The absolute best way that you can support me is over on Patreon. I don't know what's been going on, but the Patreon has been losing steam this year. So if you have a couple extra dollars a month, boy, does it make a difference for you to join my Patreon. You're also going to get the most benefits by doing that. You're going to get a YouTube playlist with all kinds of unreleased stuff, sketchy flying, Patreon-only live streams I've done, some video game stuff, some really cool, like, behind-the-scenes, Life of Ciotti kind of content. You're going to get full access to the Discord, and you can even get in on monthly giveaways. Next Monday I believe, is a giveaway stream. Don't quote me on that. I can't do the math. But yeah, I think 2 Mondays from now is a giveaway stream. If you join the Tiny Whoop tier, the $5 a month tier, you don't even have to be at those live streams. You are by default entered in giveaways every single month by being on that $5 tier on my Patreon. And so someday you're going to get a package in the mailbox with like $40 or $50 or $60 worth of Tiny Whoop stuff. That certainly makes the extra $2 from the $3 a month general admission tier worth it, right? And it also makes a huge difference for me trying to continue to do this full time. Cool. The other things that you can do are to hop on my Etsy store and buy yourself something nice. Fair warning, I batch the shipping out. So, you know, like, the Etsy store is not like my full-time job. It's like an extra thing that I do. I try like once or twice a week to batch all that stuff out and get caught up. But sometimes life sort of gets in the way. I have a bunch of orders on there right now that are overdue. I apologize for that. I had the floods. I had the printer cartridge fail. I ordered, not fail, but run out. I ordered a new one on eBay. The guy kind of screwed me. I then ordered another one. It's finally here. And I'm finally getting caught up on the Etsy stuff. But like, if you absolutely need something from the Etsy store, like tomorrow, message me, get in touch with me, be like, yo, I just placed an Etsy order. I'm desperate for it. It's totally cool. I do not take offense to that whatsoever. I batch the Etsy stuff out to save myself as much time as possible, because it's hard to do this full time. It is tough. It is a hell of a project. And so I have to do some stuff that eases the load on that. And one of the big things that I've noticed that I can do is to batch as much stuff out as I possibly can. So like, you know, when you guys, like my emails, for example, I just cannot keep up with my emails every day. So I batch it out. Every few days I go through as many emails as I possibly can. And so, yeah, there's that. So you can buy yourself something nice. There's also a Teespring store where you can buy yourself some fun apparel. I know there's not tons of FPV apparel. You know, if you're going to go to an event and you wear your CiottiFPV t-shirt, I'm going to absolutely die when I see you wearing it. It's going to be like the coolest thing ever. So yeah, lots of ways you can support me. There's also a bunch of affiliate links over there on the website. One of the easy, you have to hit affiliate links over and over and over again. When you hit an affiliate link and then you check out from that store, it wipes the affiliate link out. So easiest thing for you to do is to replace all of your bookmarks to all of these websites with someone's affiliate links. If they're not mine, use somebody else's, but just try to use an affiliate link every single time you check out from a website. It really helps us that are creating content keep doing what we're doing. If you don't use bookmarks and you just start typing a URL into the URL bar of your browser, do that, type in like AMA for Amazon, and then off on the right side, it'll allow you to remove that suggestion. So remove the current suggestions for when you type AMA in, and then just go to CiottiFPV.com and just hit my Amazon affiliate link 2 or 3 times in a row. That's going to tell your browser like, oh, he's going, going to this link over and over again, and then you'll notice that when you type AMA from then on, it'll think that you want to go to my affiliate link. You click through, bang. It puts my affiliate link in your shopping cart. It's good to go for the next week. All set. Whole bunch of different websites that I have affiliate links to. But like I said, if you're not going to use my affiliate links, that's fine. But use somebody's. It's we really do rely on them, and the affiliate program. Since the economy is absolutely getting hammered, the affiliate programs are coming down a couple percent every once in a while. And so if you guys click the links a little bit more often, that'll offset the fact that we're making a couple percent less here and there. The affiliate programs are amazing. Super appreciative of the not all websites do them. So the websites that do, it really means a lot that they're willing to do that, right? Because that's like work for them. Like, sure, it's marketing. But it's extra work for them to set that program up, and they're losing a couple percent. That couple percent is going towards marketing, right? It's going towards the people that are saying like, yo, go to Weebly. They make amazing, they sell an amazing assortment of stuff. But still, they have to do work for that. In the chat, Cole Powers was first, Frank Nicholas was second, Eco was third, Spaceman Spiff, Matthew W, Apache Smoke Wounded Sniper, Andrew Taylor, Weebly FPV. Speaking of retailers that support the community in an incredible way. Weebleed hanging out in the chat here. That's pretty dope, isn't it? Levster, Chaser, Fizz, Tamava, Sporny. It sounds funny when I say these names back to back. McMucus, Levster, Mr. Clean, Dave S., Fizz again, Levster again, Brian Kirk, Urio, Ramalala, Eco again, Phil Bradley, Four Little Pigs, Gusto. If you want to talk directly to me, type CiottiFPV into your chat message and I will read it. Cole Powers says, CiottiFPV, thanks for letting us know, ? Apache Smoke says, what's up? CiottiFPV and all you gangly gangers, how you doing today? I am... My stomach is a wreck. Florence turned 15 on Thursday. Last night, she had a birthday party here and invited 6 or 7 of her friends. So there were like 7 or 8 15-year-olds just running around all night last night being insane. It was hysterical. Got them a whole bunch of pizzas and cake and all that stuff. And so I ate a little bit of cake last night, which, has eggs and all kinds of other nonsense in it. I had a couple of slices of pizza. I stopped at 2 because I'm a boring ass old man now at 44 years old. 2 pieces of pizza is the absolute and utter limit. Number 3 is just guaranteed chocolate explosion. And then there was some French onion dip and Ruffles potato chips, and who can resist that at a French onion dip? Like, you can only eat it at a party. I learned in my 30s when I first started living alone that even though buying yourself a tub of French onion dip for just you in your apartment seems like an okay idea, it is in fact the worst idea. French onion dip is parties only. Do not buy it for yourself and sit alone watching television or playing video games and eating that. It is not, on so many levels, it is no good. But then when there's a party, I don't go to parties often, right? Um, since I'm a basement dweller, you gotta. It's the greatest thing ever. It's fucking French. It's onions, it's France, and it's sour cream. How can you not put that on a Ruffles potato chip and just smile? Uh, and so yeah, I ate like an idiot last night, and so this morning my stomach has been quite upset with me, we could say. Hey, this is me remembering to charge some batteries for the testing that we're gonna do. We're gonna use the old batteries. I'm gonna keep beating on these older batteries, and I'm gonna let the fresh Weebleed batteries just kind of chill and be fresh batteries for a little while longer. I couldn't believe the how well these old batteries held up when I did that live stream the other day testing the old batteries versus the new batteries. Um, I really, really, really think that when I moved my low battery warnings up and started bringing these batteries in at like 3.4, 3.5 per cell, where they would then, when I would then unplug them, they would bounce up to 3.8 storage voltage, and they live at 3.8. I really think that's the way to go, guys. If you want your batteries to last a long time, I really think that is the most important thing to do for their sort of health. I'm a cheap bastard. I try not to. I try to make as much stuff last as long as I possibly can. Even though like Weebleed set me a whole bunch of these batteries for free, right, to sponsor that live stream and to sponsor a bunch of giveaways. Still, like, I don't want to be hitting them up all the time. Like, yo, I wrecked those batteries you sent me. Can you send me a bunch more? Like, I want to make this stuff last, right? I've come really close to starting a new channel called Budget FPV, because so much, when I first got into FPV, I was actually unemployed. And FPV, one of the biggest reasons that I got into FPV was that I knew that I wasn't going to be able to afford motorsport anymore. The form of motorsport I was super into, autocross, is the least expensive form of motorsport, but it's still money. It's a set of $1,000 at the time with the Miata. It was a set of $1,000 tires every year to year and a half, which is pretty cheap. On most cars, you're paying for sticky tires, you're paying like $2-3 grand. And then it was like a set of brake pads every other year. They're fairly cheap. Set of rotors every like 3 years. They're pretty cheap. But it does pile up. There's, the entry fees going to the events. There's the wear and tear on the car. Not much wear and tear because autocross is like 45-second runs and you only get like between 4 and 8 runs per weekend. But still, it all kind of adds up. And so, yeah, I got into FPV because I was like, well, I need something that I can dump adrenaline into. Tiny Whoops at the time were the Inductrix was around and it was like $100, $100 and something dollars. The very first FPV drone that I bought was the Emax Baby Hawk, which was $100, I think, versus like all the other micros that were like $200 and up. And so, yeah, like so many of the decisions that I've made, so many of the builds that I've done over the years have been really focused on how much fun can we have and how little money can we kind of spend. And so, yeah, with these Tiny Whoop batteries, even though they're cheap, they're not free for most people. And so if you're willing to sacrifice 20 to 30 seconds of runtime, and that is runtime at the end of the battery where the thing is performing the worst. If you're willing to sacrifice that and change batteries a little bit more often, your batteries are also going to last a lot longer. And like I said, I'm super impressed with these batteries. Admittedly, like when you look at this, right, like, so this is one remaining Tattoo 300 mAh battery. I bought a set of either 4 or 5. They sell them in 4 or 5 packs. I think the Tattoo 300s are in a 4-pack. And so 3 of those 4 batteries, the internal resistance got out of control and I got rid of them. These 2 Weebly batteries, I believe, are the remainder of 8. So like these batteries do, you are going to lose these batteries, but certain ones do last a long time, and I'm really impressed by how long some of these have last. So like you're going to lose batteries even if you only run them down to 3.4, 3.5, but some of them are going to survive versus what I noticed is when I would run these batteries down to like 3.2, 3.3, 3.1, forget it. You don't have any of these batteries that survive and still work okay. They're all just ruined fairly quickly. And so, yeah. Pretty cool stuff. You can make this shit last. It ain't gonna last forever, and they're not all gonna last. But some of them will. There are ways that you can make FPV significantly less expensive. And I hope you guys all get a lot out of that. I try pretty hard to kind of make that happen. So hopefully you guys are enjoying that and saving some money. FizzPV says, when the body calls, listen. Hello all. Frank Nicholas says, keeping it CiottiFPV, keeping it real. Every Day with Bruno says, that pitch back though. Render says, what's up, gang? Ramalala says, the molding company knows not what. What? What's that mean? Fly High's in the chat. What's up, brother? CMYK. Hey, who's going to Castle Crash? Sound off. Type Castle Crash into the chat if you're going to be there. I'll see you there. I'm bringing all kinds of cool stuff. CMYK says, yo, what's up, Gangly Gang? It's Ciotti. Your Drone Mate. That's a fun YouTube name. Says, Re04 on Tinies. Have you experienced that the BetaFPV canopy is worse and the HappyModel canopy is better in terms of jello? By the way, hello from Germany, first time life. Thanks for joining us, man. Make yourself at home. Yes, absolutely. Hard mounting a camera in an FPV drone. So, FPV drones are drones in general are vibration machines. You can get props that are as balanced as we can possibly make them with the technology that exists today. We can take motors that are as well balanced as possible with the technology that we've got today. There's still going to be a whole bunch of vibrations, no matter what. And then you start flying them around, and you land it a little bit hard, and it scuffs the propeller on the ground, or you crash it. And any number of things. Everything that we do, our baseline is vibrations. And then everything that we do with these causes more vibrations. So no matter what, there's going to be a bunch of vibes on every single thing that we fly. If you've got a camera that is hard mounted, it is going to be a part of the entire system, right? All of the weight that is in this thing is going to vibrate with that camera. And so those vibrations are going to be a lower frequency because the camera is hard mounted. It's not going to create its own vibrations. So that's the HappyModel 04 canopy. That is a hard mounted canopy. Through the 10 years that I've been into FPV, when I hard mount a camera, it has less jello. Then there's the BetaFPV canopy. There's all these builds that take the camera platform and put it on rubber grommets and try to soft mount the canopy. When you do that, the camera is either in the BetaFPV canopy, for example, the camera, just the weight of the camera is the only thing. So this is called, what we're diving into here is what's called mass damping. The more mass, the more weight that you have in a system that's vibrating, that weight is going to resist that vibration. And so there's going to be a little bit less vibration, and it's also going to be a lower frequency vibration. Lower frequency vibrations don't have as much jello. So the BetaFPV canopy is just putting the camera here. So the camera, the mass damping of the camera is just the weight of the camera. You lose all of the weight of the rest of the build. And so that camera, that camera is going to vibrate because the whole system is vibrating. It's going to vibrate at a higher frequency. The fact that the camera is on rubber grommets, there is going to be some effect. Those rubber grommets are going to change the vibration. And at certain frequencies, this is the rest of the build. This is the camera in here. At certain frequencies, the rest of the build is going to be vibrating, and those rubber grommets are going to actually isolate this camera pretty well from that certain vibration. It's not going to happen at all frequencies. And like I said, there's going to be vibrations. Those vibrations are going to get transmitted through the rubber grommets. And this camera is going to have a vibration to it. And that vibration is going to be in a higher frequency because it's lighter weight. Because it's lighter weight, it's going to be able to move quicker. And so its vibration is going to be up in the frequency band. The higher frequency, the quicker the vibrations, the more jello. And so with these soft-mounted camera setups, you tend to see more of a problem with jello, but gyro flow, real steady go, vibration stabilization software that relies on the gyro data, it doesn't really care about those high frequency vibrations. What it cares about and what it gets confused with are the lower frequency vibrations, which you get with a hard mounted camera. And so if your plan is to put your flight footage into gyro flow or real steady go, a soft mounted camera setup sometimes is a better option, and sometimes it performs better than a hard mounted camera option. The holy grail, let me take a step back. One of the best ways to prevent jello is to get your shutter speed slowed down. Get your shutter speed down to like 1/60th of a second, 1/120th of a second, 1/240th of a second. In the middle of the day, the only way to do that is with an ND filter, an ND16 or an ND8, or if you're flying around the snow, an ND32. It's sunglasses for the drone. It's sunglasses for the drone's camera, basically. And what that does is it allows the camera to open its eyes slower. So 1/30th, the shutter speed of 1/30th, basically means that the camera opens its eyes for 1/30th of a second. That's pretty slow, all things considered. If you think about this thing vibrating like crazy, and then the camera opens and closes its eyes for 1/30th of a second, those vibrations are going to just disappear. They're not going to turn into jello because it opened its eyes slowly enough where any vibrations smear a little bit. It just smears the tiniest little bit, though, and it doesn't typically look that bad. Versus the camera, the shutter speed cranks up to like 1/640th of a second or 1/1000th of a second. It opens its eyes really quickly. When it does that, those vibrations are going to do the jello thing. Because the camera doesn't open its eyes like us. It actually, it's a strip. This is called rolling shutter. And so 1/30th of a second, the strip, it's going to be big. And so this big strip from the tips of my middle fingers to my thumbs, the strip is going to be really big and it's going to roll down through. And so when it's rolling down through, it's a big thick strip and it doesn't have time to do this because it's so big. When the shutter speed gets really high, the strip that it's exposing is really little. And so it's going to come down and it's going to draw. And so if you have any vibrations, they're going to create that horrible jello look. And so if you want to use gyro flow and you don't want to use jello, and you don't want to get jello, you're going to have to run a not have to. It depends on how much vibration the rig has. Cinewhoops, for example, that are really heavy, because they're so heavy, they don't vibrate at nearly as high of a frequency, and they don't have as many jello problems. The smaller you go, the higher frequency the vibrations are, because the weight comes down, right? Light objects will vibrate at a higher frequency. And so one of the biggest problems with micros that I've been fighting for almost 10 years is jello. Jello drives me absolutely crazy. It looks horrible. It looks unprofessional. I come from like a bit of a film background, communications, TV, radio degree in college, and just a love for all things sort of filmmaking and photography and shit like that. And so I've always tried to figure out the ways that I can to eliminate jello. The list is very short. You eliminate vibrations. So you run fresh motors, you run fresh propellers, you look for propellers that are the best balanced, you look for motors that are the best balanced. You try to build a frame that's sort of stiff, although that doesn't actually, that's not the whole story. The Air V2 frame is actually stiffer than the Cockroach Light AF and V3 frames, but that actually, it could hurt. The stiffer a frame is, the higher the vibration, the higher the frequency the vibrations are going to be. So a stiff frame is not necessarily the answer to jello. And like I said, it could actually make it worse. Way more important is balanced fresh propellers, balanced fresh motors. The lowest shutter speeds you can possibly get are the second big thing. In the middle of the day, that means an ND filter. Or you wait until golden hour, you get up early, you fly sunrise, you fly in scenarios where there's less light. In the basement here, I don't run these lights at full tilt. I run like red and purple lights that are fairly dark, and that brings the shutter speed down even inside the house, right? So the lowest shutter speed possible, and then hard mounting versus soft mounting. Soft mounting is for if you want to use gyro flow. If you're not going to use gyro flow or real steady, don't do soft mounting. It's just going to cause you problems. And so there you go. Big answer to a great question. If that's not worth $3 a month, I don't know what is. CiottiFPV.com, my friends. Great question, your drone mate. Thank you for letting me talk about that. That is a conversation that is really, really, really good to have, because most people don't understand it, and most people think that soft mounting their camera will help with jello, and it typically doesn't. The other thing that happens that I don't think I mentioned is that when you soft mount a camera or a camera plate, it is actually going to have its own resonant frequency. Everything has a resonant frequency. And you can you just hit something. These tweezers, hold on, I'm gonna well, you guys know, if you take tweezers and you bang them, oh, you can see it, you can see them blurring. That's pretty cool. They're like a tuning fork. They have their own resonant frequency. Everything does. Everything in the world. This frame, if you were to mount this frame solidly like this and you were to smack it, it has its own resonant frequency. My phone, if I were to mount my phone really hard and hit it hard enough, it would have its own resonant frequency. When you soft mount a camera, it has its own resonant frequency, and that's not good. And also, you've got a camera soft mounted in here that has one resonant frequency, and then you've got this system, the whole drone, and it has its own resonant frequency, right? The frame is going to have its own resonant frequency. So when the camera is soft mounted, you're going to have one resonance at 4.20 thousand 4.2K, let's say. And then the frame is going to have a different resonant frequency at 1.6K, right? And you start stacking up these resonant frequencies, and the problem with a resonant frequency is like it feeds into itself, and that's something that can really cause jello. And so hard mounting the camera is going to give you one less resonant frequency. And we've seen this in some of these rigs that have like the earlier rigs where they started Cinewhoops with the tiny little ducts, where they started to soft mount these camera platforms. They were a mess, and it can even cause problems in the PID tune. You've got a camera that's in there vibrating around, and then that feeds back through the system, and the PID tune is like, whoa, what the fuck is that? And so the PID tune is going to see that resonant frequency as error, and it's going to try to push against it, and that build can fly away on its own, right? So there's problems associated with soft mounting the camera, but GyroFlow sometimes does not like and cannot deal with, or the built-in 04 Rocksteady can't deal with those high frequency vibrations. Well, just the vibrations in general that you get from hard-mounted cameras. So sometimes, if you want to use GyroFlow, you have to do the soft mount setup. With 04 on a Tiny Whoop, that's the situation. A hard-mounted camera on a Tiny Whoop with 04, it will not work with Rocksteady. It doesn't do it all the time, but every like 5 to 10 seconds, Rocksteady gets super confused, GyroFlow gets super confused, and there's this big jerk that happens, and it just looks horrendous, and it's not like viable. You just kind of can't do it. Doesn't matter if you're on fresh props, doesn't matter if you're on fresh motors. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't look right. You could maybe like chop it all up and grab little clips in between when it does that, but like you don't want to do that. All that being said, GyroFlow and RealSteady are for 100% cinematic stuff. Don't use them with freestyle flying. Don't be that guy. It doesn't look right. Everybody knows it. You know, you're like 6 months into the hobby and you put out this freestyle footage that's like unbelievably smooth. You're not fooling anybody. Everybody knows that you ran it through some kind of stabilization software. And like, a lot of people are like, when I try not to be one of them. I try not to be such an elitist, but a lot of people, when they see that, they're like, nah, fuck you, man. I'm looking for that raw freestyle flight. Because, like, to be honest, it doesn't look as good. Like, freestyle footage should be raw. It should have, like, quick, you know, when you slam the sticks, it should instantly, like, turn. And when you run stuff through the stabilization software, it doesn't. It softens everything out. And so there's no, like, sharp attack. And what it does is it dulls down your freestyle footage, because there's less like drama, there's less dynamics. Really good freestyle footage has like really fast, sharp attack, and then it's got some slow stuff as well. And when you run your flight footage through any kind of stabilization software, or you just turn Rocksteady on, it does this to it. There's no super sharp attack, and then, well, no, I guess it doesn't do this. If this is super smooth and this is super sharp, it doesn't do this. It does this. And that takes away, like, you lose all this sort of drama up here. So don't do that. Fly freestyle rigs with hard-mounted cameras. Also, a hard-mounted camera is going to be more durable. And then when you want to do super buttery, cinematic, slower flying fly-throughs, that's when, if you need to do, you know, hard-mounted camera, to me, is always a better setup. It's more durable. There's less to break. There's one less frequency node happening. But sometimes you have to. My Cinewhoops, for example, those are on hard-mounted cameras. They're heavy enough. The vibrations happen slow enough. I run ND filters on them. I don't have to soft mount the cameras on those. If I had to soft mount the camera, the GoPros on those, I would, right? On a Tiny Whoop, to do full-blown cinematic stuff, you do. You're in a situation where you have to soft mount the camera if you want to use GyroFlow. And because of that, I do have one of those BetaFPV canopies. I haven't used it yet, but at some point I will. So there you go. Great question, brother. And welcome. FPV says props in for the win. Indeed. In most cases. For racing, props out. BMF Spades, some big conversations going on in chat. Very cool. Love to see that. BMF Spades says, did you see Quad 6.6 blackboxing his whoop with the new Flywoo mini blackbox logger? I did indeed. I watched the first half an hour of Quad 6.6's video last night. I can't wait to finish it up tonight. QUAD66, my friends. Subscribe to him here on YouTube. He's an awesome guy. Does great testing, great pilot. Me, him, Chris Rosser, UAV Tech. I know I'm forgetting a few people. There's a bunch of us that really dive into the technical shit and figure some really cool stuff out. Support us. It's hard to do that. We are not doing the formula that sort of works for being a popular YouTuber, of just reviewing products and lots of affiliate links and lots of should you buy this, should you not. We've chosen to dive into this, and that is a lot less popular, so we kind of rely on you guys to support us a little bit more. So get your ass over to Quad 6.6's channel and subscribe. He's an awesome dude, doing some really, really, really good testing. Him and I get the feeling that he watches a decent amount of my stuff. I watch every single thing that he does, and you'll see us kind of bouncing stuff. It's like we talk on Facebook Messenger every so often, but we talk more through the content that we put up. And you'll see he'll mention I tested this or whatever, and then right now I'm mentioning that he's got a great video that you should go watch that I was watching, and so it's cool. We talk through our content in this weird way, and bounce stuff off of each other. I actually just put his camera mount on this Humminbird V4 frame. He's got a really, really cool tiny whoop canopy that is pretty lightweight. It keeps the ducts out of view, and it offers really good camera protection, which you can download. If he's got links to it in his stuff. If you download this, you're allowed to download it for free, but it gives you the option to tip him, buy him a coffee, send him a couple bucks. Come on now. It's a great mount, and he's done lots of testing that have helped lots of us without us even knowing it. And so show him some love, throw him a couple bucks. If 10 of you throw him $1, that's awesome. That's $10 that he didn't have. And that offsets the time and effort that he put into this mount. And so, yeah, I've been dying to run one of these mounts, but I've been really pushing hard with those Bri-Brain mounts to see if they would break, and whatnot. I'm actually really excited to fly this thing again. Speaking of, I almost included this in today's testing, because if you look at this cross-sectionally, there's not a lot going on. There's nothing here to keep this thing from sliding sideways. There is a little bit up here, obviously, but cross-sectionally between these two, right? They're both very aerodynamic sideways, and so that's going to make them kind of slidey. What I did on this build is I moved it because I knew that I wanted to go to this mount. I moved this build to a Cockroach V3 frame so that I could get as much vertical cross section here, because I knew that I was going to a mount that was super aerodynamic. This is why this stuff matters, right? Once you learn this stuff, once you know what's going on here, then you can take a build. This build is the extreme. This has the most draggy canopy and the most draggy ducts. You might not want this much drag. Maybe you do. But yeah, once you understand this stuff, then you can decide all right, well, I want a little bit of slidiness, but not so much. So I've got this canopy floating around. I've got one of these Runcam Nano 3s floating around. So I'm going to use this canopy for the drag, but then I'm going to use the Air 65 V2 frame for a little bit of slipperiness, and because either I already have this frame or I want to buy this frame because I want to try it, right? Like this is the beauty of long form content. You guys can hang out with me for a while, learn this shit, understand it, and then dial your builds in versus, you know, with a 60-second short, it's going to be, hey guys, I did this build and it doesn't slide much. Here's some flying. Bye. Fuck you. You don't understand it. You can either buy all this shit and do this exact build and get this same experience, or that's it. No more time. Right? So I appreciate all of you that actually care about learning this stuff, and you know, long form is how we do that. Unfortunately, again, long form is not super popular. So yeah, those of us that are doing it, help us out as much as you can, and we'll keep doing it. Phil Bradley says, love the show. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Phil. I appreciate it. YouTube did the thing and scrolled me to the bottom, scrolling back up to try to find my place. There we go. Uriel says, I must send love. I appreciate it. Cole Powers says, ooh, I went to an 8-year-old's birthday party recently. Cake and alcohol wrecked the dad for days. Yeah, man, it's unbelievable. The kids had a great time, though, man. They were fucking screaming and yelling and laughing and shit. It was really cool. It's a lot, man. And, oh, God, I forgot to mention, Maggie was sick. Maggie's been sick. I gave Maggie whatever the hell I had, and boy, is it kicking her ass. And so I had to keep telling her yesterday, like, stop, let me do this. Stop, let me do that. Stop, let me do this. Boy, oh boy, she does a lot. It is always unbelievable, especially as men living with women. It is always unbelievable how much they do that we just don't see. That they just do it and it's just done, and they do it all the time and we don't notice it. And yeah, yesterday was, every once in a while I get a reminder of this when she's not around or when she's sick or whatever. And boy, oh boy, yesterday was a well needed and deserved reminder of that. Me having to do like all the, and she still did a bunch of stuff. She still got like a bunch of the stuff down from the cabinet and like laid a bunch of stuff out. But eventually I was like, stop. Just go into the bedroom. Don't spread your germs all over. Let's not get, 6, 7, 8 kids sick that then bring it home and get their parents sick. And it was insane. I'm freaking running around, picking people up, dropping people off, setting stuff up, bringing stuff down, cake and decorations, this, that. It's yeah. Yesterday was bananas. I'd planned on, I'd stupidly thought that like I would have some time yesterday to hang with Patrick, and we were gonna do like a Discord call and shit, but I was just full tilt like pretty much the entire day. It was crazy. It's, again, I took for granted the fact that Mackie does a lot. Women do so much that that unfortunately we have a tendency to not notice as guys in the generation that we're in. And when I can, I try to notice that and vocalize it and try to just do more, because equity is important. If there's one thing that I learned in 4.5 years of college as a communications major, it's that it's just equity. Like in communication, in life, in everything, equity is so important. And when that shifts a little bit, one party is gonna probably notice it and be like, come on, man. But the patriarchy that we live in is like men are the hunters and the smashers and the angry ones, and then women take care of most things at home, and that's not fair. It's not fair anymore. We're not out risking our lives hunting fucking lions for dinner anymore. So you know what? Get your ass in that fucking kitchen and cook some goddamn dinner for the family. Get your ass at that sink and clean those fucking dishes every day. Happy wife, happy life, my friends. But seriously, like that saying is even like super kind of shitty, right? Like, oh, I'm just doing this so that so that no, you're doing it because you're in a goddamn relationship, and that shit should be as close to 50-50 as possible. So work. They're working. Get to work. I don't care how tired you are from going to work. They're fucking working all day too. Uriel says, you don't think your own farts smell the best. Everybody does. I forget what movie it is, but one of my favorite quotes ever in reference to farts is, "Oh, everybody loves their own brand." Gold Power says, "I don't usually do alcohol, and I don't go hard on cake. I was lucky to escape with my colon intact." Yeah, I didn't eat much cake, but just a little bit was enough. Ramalala says, "FPV troglodytes." Yeah. McVuga says, "French onion truths. Congrats, my middle kid just turned 15 too." LOL, nice. Fizz says, Cole Powers, what canopy should I have Cole... Wait, what? Cole Powers, CiottiFPV. What canopy should I have Cole make for my 75 Pro to replace the hard one? I don't think I have quite enough to go on there, but what I'll just tell you my canopy experience recently. Mobula 6 2024 is my absolute favorite of all time, but you have to have a Runcam Nano 3 for it. I will have some Runcam Nano 3s for sale in the Etsy store at some point here. But yeah, this is my favorite of all time. It's a little bit heavy, super durable though. Adjustable up tilt on the fly. Awesome, awesome, awesome canopy. And lots of drag for slowing the thing down sideways. BetaFPV G-string canopy, pretty good. Pretty damn good. You will absolutely break them if you crash them hard. They hold the CO3 camera. It's kind of a pain in the ass to get the camera rotated perfectly so it's completely flat. But once you get it rotated perfectly and it's completely flat, just put a little bit of E6000 between the camera lens and the canopy and it'll stay and you're good. Brain canopy. BRIBRAIN on Thingiverse. Awesome. Awesome, awesome canopy. I do have some of these for sale. Or I can print them. They come in a ton of different up tilts. Great little canopy. Very lightweight. Incredibly strong for the weight. Great lightweight option. And then Quad 6.6's canopy is super cool. No duct in view. It pushes the camera pretty far forward, so you're not going to have any duct in view. Adjustable up tilt on the little arms here. Great camera protection, and it's strong enough where the camera is never going to slam into the AIO. That is like rule number one for me when it comes to a canopy. Like total deal breaker. The canopy cannot be set up in a way that on a hard crash, your camera bashes into the AIO, because that's what breaks these AIOs. So all of these canopies, all four of these canopies, you don't have to worry about that. There's loads of other lighter weight canopies out there, and they're a great way to break a bunch of AIOs. And for me, that's out the window. So there you go. There's 4 different canopy options for you. Calvin says, I finally got my goggles V2 in the mail. Let me know when you're selling a Vista unit. I'm buying. Oh, brother, I will sell you a Vista unit tonight. I have loads of Vistas that are going to be for sale in the Etsy store. So yeah, if you want one, I'll sell you one. Bonus points if you go on eBay and search for Vistas and look at only the listings that have sold and figure out what like the going rate is on them for me. I will absolutely do that if you just message me and say like, yo, what do you want for it? But if you do that for me, I'll knock a couple bucks off because you'll be saving me some time. FPV says, I always physically damage them to where I don't want to use them before I notice any degradation. Yep, that's true for me with every other battery. Tiny Whoop batteries, I don't damage all that bad typically, but like every single other battery for every single other size quad, basically that I fly outside, my batteries never last to the end of their like life in terms of internal resistance. I always smash them into the concrete hard enough to accordion them up and then just throw them away when they're unsafe after a couple of those. Uriel says, Chris Adorno, good idea. Chris Adorno says, make it a weekly stream, budget FPV day. That's a really good idea. Although, to be honest, I never suggest you go, like the expense. I only ever suggest the expensive stuff if it's legitimately better to the point where it will actually save you money. Like, so titanium motor shaft motors versus stainless steel motor shaft motors. I never recommend stainless steel motors, even though in some cases they're half as expensive, because the titanium motor shaft motors last more than twice as long, because that titanium motor shaft is so much stronger, and the motor shaft is the most common thing to fail to cause you to trash that motor. So, like, to be honest, every live stream is budget FPV stream with me. It's just like budget, and has always been, and probably will always be, super 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 high priority for me. Um, until I get some kind of a recurring flying gig that pays really 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 well. And those are incredibly hard to come by. And so yeah, every day is budget FPV day, to be completely honest with you guys. That's just, again, that has been so high on the list of priorities for me from day one, that like it's always there. Every single time I look at something, it's like, okay, what's that cost? Okay, is there something that's cheaper that's just as good or almost better? Or, it's more expensive. It better be much higher quality. Everyday with Bruno says, not about the gear, it's about the time you have. But if I can have that time on a budget, hell's yeah. Indeed. Jamie Flies FPV says, Castle Crash, I'll be there. Very cool. Everyday with Bruno says, what's Castle Crash? Fly High is in the chat, and he has answered your question. It's a blast. I went last year. It's super awesome. If you can make it, come on out. Hey, are you guys doing mosquito head nets this year? Or should I'm going to bring mine no matter what. Ginger FPVRC says, on the bus to Boise, Idaho from Post Falls, Idaho, 7 hours away. First time leaving in 27 years. Man, miss my wife and daughter so much, but a new start will be nice. Congrats. It absolutely will. Yeah, fresh starts are scary and insane and reckless, but always awesome. Always, always, always awesome. Even if they're not, they still are, because it's a chapter of your life that you will learn a ton, and you will grow, and you will meet new people, and it'll be awesome. Fizz PV says, wish I could make it, currently burning my holiday pay from my former employer as I spin planes to move to work from home. Have fun for me. I will. And next year we'll be there as well. Fly High given lots of cool info on what's going on at Castle Crash. Gert Jan X says, hey Ciotti, everything all right there? It is indeed. Batteries are charged. I just checked. Cole Power says, single dudes represent. Hell yeah, man. Absolutely nothing wrong with being single. Healthy Gamer actually just put out a video on YouTube that entitled, oh god, it's like being alone is actually awesome, or something like that. I can't wait to watch it. I don't know if he talked about that on a podcast and I just missed it or what, but I'm looking forward to seeing that. Absolutely nothing wrong with living alone, my friends. There's a lot of freedom that comes from that. And it won't be like that forever. So enjoy it while you're doing it. I know it can be very lonely. I lived alone for all of my 20s, some of my 30s, and I don't like it per se. But now that I've had periods of living alone, and then living with a partner, and then living alone and living with a partner, living alone, living with a partner, I get it. And, it's not going to be like that forever. You'll have a roommate at some point. You'll have a partner at some point. It's just the way the world works. Even though you don't think it's true, it is. And so, yeah, enjoy it while you're in it. Try not to be like I did and just like, oh, God, I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. Because nothing good comes from that. Just sitting there like stewing in it. It certainly doesn't help anything. Chaos Wonder says, I love the long format stuff. Watching these streams has taken me from wanting to be in the hobby to freestyling tiny whoops in the house in just a few months. Hell yeah, man. Love that. Enjoy. Glad I could help. Everyday with Bruno says, I do most of that housework at my house, but the wife does it 1,000 times better. Oh man, that's something that boy Maggie and I run into. My so like clean stuff, and then stuff gets dirtier, stuff gets dirtier, stuff gets dirtier, stuff gets dirtier. Everybody has a limit to where dirty, 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 dirtier, dirtier, dirtier. Notice it, get disgusted by it, clean it, right? Everybody has that. Everybody has a little bit different of a limit of how much filth that they're willing to, um, how much filth will build up before they notice it and then do something about it. I have two. I have the notice it, and then I have the do something about it. Um, my my levels are maybe my levels are maybe like somewhere around here. If this is like absolutely disgusting, I'm maybe like somewhere here. I keep my shit relatively clean. Maggie's levels are down here. And that kind of sucks because like she notices it and then she's like, "Well, what the hell?" Um and but we've been living together for a while and we've noticed this, and she she will still sometimes clean when stuff is here. Sometimes she'll let it go and she'll wait, and she now knows, I think, that that it'll get to my level and I will notice it, and I will clean it. And that's important. Those are conversations that are important to have because boy, that can blow up in your face. And you know, again, going back to like the equity thing, it feels like there's not equity when one person keeps doing this. And now also there is so like my levels are here, and then I do a pretty good job cleaning to the point where it's like insane, not quite insanely clean. So like, you know, filthy, 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 dirty, 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 and then I'll clean it down to maybe like here. Maggie cleans it down to there, which is what everything Bruno's talking about. Women typically will clean to, and that's another kind of thing that you got to have that conversation about, of like, you know, and ideally, right, in a relationship, if I clean it to here and Maggie cleans it down to here, ideally what we do is meet in the middle. But that takes understanding on both parts. And unfortunately, the person that cleans it more or that cleans earlier, it's harder for that person, right? Typically, that's the women. Not always, but you know, more often than not. And so, look, man, they have it harder than us in so many ways, in so many ways, and so appreciate that, understand that, really feel that. It's okay. It's all good. You gotta understand that though. Every Bruno says, plus if I pre-clean, it's easier on her, I think. LOL. Yeah, man. Relationships are hard. Relationships are hard. And that's okay. They should be. When relationships are easy, you just do the same thing forever. When relationships are hard, there's more growth, and that's cool, you know? Like you push each other a little bit and you grow more and you do more things and you experience more stuff. But relationships are hard. Don't ever think that the amount of chores that you do living alone is going to get cut in half when you bring somebody else into that space. That is not true. You are not going to do any less work because there's another person making messes, eating stuff, cooking, whatever, right? Yeah, living with someone is not a recipe for doing less housework. You will never do less housework. You will always spend, and you should always spend an hour or two a day doing the fucking monotonous stuff. This is your meditation, though. You know, if you don't have time to do 20 minutes of actual meditation a day, doing the shit that we all hate doing, that we do every single day, is your form of domestic meditation. So there you go. Cole Power says, I literally asked chat what I should print to throw into the box for Fizz. I made a few Thumb 2/Pro mounts and I'm trying to fill the 4-ounce limit. Love it. Bob Grattan says, hello, thanks for your help. What would you recommend as big expo for a beginner? What do you mean by big expo? Are you saying that you want to run a lot of throttle expo, maybe? Or are we talking about expo on rates? Tag me again, Bob, and give me a little bit more to go off of. Uriel says, releasing myself from high self-demands gave me a lot. Do it, brother. Kelvin says, I sent an email about buying Cadex, included eBay screenshot of recent pricing. Now shut up and take my money, lol. Awesome. You sent an email, which is the worst way of contacting me, but I will absolutely get to it. Just give me a day or two. My email is a war zone. For the record, Discord and Instagram are the two ways of reaching out to me where you'll typically get, not always, but you'll typically get a quicker reply. Email absolutely works, but yeah, I get a lot more spam in my email than I get spam messages on Discord or Instagram. Cole Powers says, men tend not to see the wake of destruction we leave behind. And when women clean up our trodden path of desolation, we look back and say, hey, I'm not so bad. Maybe I can slack off more. Yeah, man, it's something else. It is something else. I've seen my fair share of women with a penchant for destruction. So not totally 100% always true. Very true. Yeah, man. Everybody's different. But yeah, it's very safe to say that typically women do more housework. And the problem is we don't notice it. It just gets done and it's just like, oh, whatever. Like, we just don't notice it. And it's not their job to tell us that. It's our job to notice it, right? Like, it's bad enough that they're already doing more. We can't expect them to then also be like, oh, hey, honey, by the way, I cleaned your fucking mess up, you slob. Like, no, like, we need to notice that. It's the least that we can do is notice it. When you notice it, what's magic is when you notice it, you will then do something about it. Noticing stuff is always the first step. So, yeah, work on that, friends. We can all be better about it. And it improves. I promise you, it will improve your relationship. I promise you. It is a hard lesson learned. Let's test the aerodynamics of Tiny Whoops because I am now caught up on the chat and I've got 6 batteries charged up and ready to go. So again, here's our testing methodology for the day. We've got 2 very similar builds, both on HQ 1.2 by 0.9 by 3 propellers, both on Weebleed 0702 40,000 kV motors, some of my favorite motors. But then we've got very different aerodynamic situations going on with the frames and the canopies. We've got the slidey rig, which if you look at it from the side, there's lots of my face peeking through. The prop guards here are very thin, top to bottom. The camera canopy has a big hole in the middle that I can stick my mangled, ruined, deformed pinky through. So this is a BetaFPV Air 65 canopy, whatever the hell it's called. I call it a G-string banana hammock canopy. And so there's a big ass hole in it. And we've also got a tiny little whip antenna that's infinitely aerodynamic. Versus Newbie Drone Cockroach 65 V3 frame. Nice tall ducts around the propellers. Big old silly ORT micro V antenna. And then the old school Mobula 6 canopy, which again. And so when you look at these two and you imagine them sliding sideways, this one is going to slow down a lot quicker. This one is going to keep sliding. If you fly in a small space like I do with lots of stuff, when you change directions, it's going to make a difference. How many blades the propellers have does matter, because typically you don't turn completely flat. Typically you bank a little bit, and when you bank a little bit, look at that, now we can see the propellers. So if there's more blades, there's more physical obstruction to keep it from sliding. In this testing, I was tempted to put bi-blades on the slippery rig and quad blades on the grippy rig, but I don't we already know that. We already know that bi-blades are more slidey than tris than quads. That's a known quantity. What I haven't specifically tested is how much of an impact the frame and the canopy make. It's gonna make an impact, right? Like, we can see it. How much of an impact? Let's find out. Kazuma says, what are your thoughts on this? I have a Babito, and I think I'll put everything on it into an Air 65 frame. So, perfect example. Well, first and foremost, you're gonna lose a bunch of weight. Any carbon fiber frame on a Tiny Whoop is gonna be, in my opinion, too heavy. The Tiny Whoop frames are so good. We've put so much R&D time over the years into these. These are the way to go for 65 and 75 millimeter rigs. 65, 75 millimeter rigs, they don't make enough power to go fast. So don't try to go fast with them. It doesn't make any sense. If you want to fly outside, if you want to go fast, build something that's like 2-inch minimum, maybe 2.5, maybe 3-inch. Those are going to be more efficient and they're going to go a lot faster, and that's what you want to do outside. It doesn't make any sense to me to take a tiny little propeller and try to go fast outside. Like, it's just, it's taking a Honda Civic and trying to go rock climbing with it. It doesn't make any sense. You do that with a Jeep, right? Use the right tool for the job. And so, yeah, taking the guts out of a Babito and putting it into a Tiny Whoop is going to give you a rig that makes a lot more sense. You're going to be able to fly it inside without ruining your walls and just, right? Like, it just makes more sense. You're building the right tool for the right job. There are so many rigs in FPV and so many build styles that are just like sort of the hype train, right? Like, we need to sell something. What hasn't anybody done yet? Oh, this. Nobody's done this before. Cool. Everybody will think it's awesome. Hey, the newest best thing. It's the greatest. I just figured this out. I'm a genius. We've all put too much time into FPV at this point for anyone to figure something magically new out that's going to be the greatest thing in the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've tried to really, like, take anything with a grain of salt at this point. Like, we've figured this shit out. We know what flies the way that it should fly. We know the combos that make the most sense. It's someone somewhere has a perfect situation where a Babito is great. They want to fly in their front yard, but their neighbors are absolute lunatics, and anything that makes any noise, the neighbors call the cops. Cool. Babito is perfect for that person. If I fly a 3-inch toothpick down the street, fuck, I flew the 5.5-inch rig around this neighborhood a couple batteries in a row, and the neighbors were like loving it. They were like coming out of their houses and like asking me questions and like, right, but there is a specific situation where most builds will kind of work. It's just, boy, is that rare. Cool. Let's fly the draggy rig first. 300 mAh, what is this, a lava? We're going to do a lava battery. We're going to do both lava batteries first because those are the freshest out of these 6 batteries. So we're going to fly lava on the draggy rig, lava on the slippery rig. And let's see what's what. Here we go. All the drag. Okay, I did not put this, I switched the frame, and I didn't put this into beta flight to change the motor direction. So it just went. That hasn't happened to me in a while. A long time ago, I figured out that on motors, that on Tiny Whoop and Weebleed and HappyModel motors, on the motor plug, they either have or don't have a little red dot. The little red dot means that you should put that motor on motor 1 and motor 4. And I started doing that a long time ago. And so I haven't had this situation happen in a while because all of my frames, all of my frames and all of my builds at this point had the motors set up correctly. But apparently this one did not. So we're going to go into motor direction, understand the risks, wizard, start and spin, motor 1. And now this resets it, so it's probably good now. Motor 1 is correct. Oh, no, it's not. Motor 2 is incorrect. So that means that it's wrong in the ESC. I'm going to fix it. You know what? I have to fix it in the ESC because this is not reversing the direction of the motors. Sometimes Betaflight can't reverse the direction of the motors. So I got to go into the ESC and reverse motor number 2. Motor number 3 is correct. And motor number 4 is wrong. So I got to reverse motors 2 and 4 in the ESC software. And that's kind of cool because that will sort of like fix this rig. This AIO. This AIO will now be set up in a way that if the dots are correct on the motors, they will spin correctly. I got to turn transmitter off because ELRS makes the ESC software angry. There it goes. All right, so yeah, and see, well, that's weird. Motor 2 is reversed, but motor 4 is normal. That's super weird. So we're going to go to normal on motor 2. We're actually going to reverse on motor 4. That's extra weird. I might not have these motors correct on here, but whatever. I ain't taking the motors off. There we go. And everything else looks okay there. Cool. So now we are going to test the draggy rig. And Cole Power says, hear me out. Magic Motors Voodoo frame. Done. Perfection. Perfection. The transmitter is off, so flipping the arm switch up and down is not going to do anything. There it is. I'm going to actually put the battery into the slippery rig so that I can pick it up, plug it in, and go. All right, draggy rig first. Oh my God, why? Okay. Here's another easy way to figure this out. You go into turtle mode, and you see which motor makes lift. It's motor 4. Why did I think that motor 4 needed to be reversed? What the hell? How is that possible? I mean, that makes a lot of sense because I was kind of questioning that. Like, why does motor 4 need to be reversed? That's weird. Whatever. All's well that ends well. Connect. Read settings. Ugh! Gotta turn the transmitter off again. That's the weirdest thing, that ELRS conflicts with the ESC. Schlip schlap. Alright, hold on. It's just upset. My phone just made a very strange noise. Come on. Oh, I don't have power to it. That'll do it. There we go. Connect. Oh, it's all angry. Let's reset it. It's super angry. Let's pull the battery from the quad. Pull the USB from the quad. Plug it back in. Okay. Connect. Oh, brother. Okay, hold on. Pull the Oh, it was just going. God damn it. Pull the battery from the quad. Pull the USB from the quad. Plug the USB back in. Plug the battery back in. I'm just rushing. Give it a split second. Connect. There we go. Read settings. There we go. There we are. Normal, 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 normal. Normal. That makes more sense. Sweet. All right. Unplug, unplug. And now we fly. The full FPV experience right here. And I put the battery in backwards. Yet again, the full FPV experience. Transmitter on. Goggles down. ELRS is connecting, waiting for the beep. There it is. All right, draggy rig first. I immediately feel it. I have not flown. Get me out of there. I have not flown a build with this frame and this canopy in a long time. And I remember it now. It is absolutely noticeable. It's just sort of slower. Come on now. It's just kind of slower. And it feels locked. Like it just wants to go straight. It feels a lot like my Cinewhoops. I keep crashing because I'm not used to this at all. But like, it doesn't feel like it wants to go laterally. There's this really... Wow, that's cool. It just... Man, that is interesting. It feels so... Like, you ever notice how when I try to do this in the mirror, I have a really hard time? This is just locked in place. And so now I can easily bring it closer and farther, and I can bump it up against. And I guess I don't have air mode on a switch set up on this rig. Wow, what a difference. Can you guys see how much slower it is? I hope you can. But there's just like a control to it. There's just this like... Oh, that was silly. This is a hell of an adjustment. Okay, so right there, throwing it backwards is more difficult. See, I missed that twice in a row. I don't usually miss this power loop. It's because of the taller ducts. I have to push it. I'm adjusting right now to this. I'm having to push it hard. I'm missing it too. I'm having to push it harder backwards because it's not wanting to slide as much. So for moves where... just rotates around perfectly. For moves where you want that... Fuck you. You son of a bitch. For moves that you want it to slide, you got to work a little bit harder. Wait, no, it's this camera. All right, directly into the slidey rig. Directly into the slidey rig. And now this is what I'm more used to because I've been flying all these. So this, I might actually fly this a little bit better. Oh my god, what a... Yeah, yeah, right. Oh boy. It's so different. That slide, see that? Like turn sideways, it wants to just kind of keep going. Turn sideways, just keep sliding. And so you've got to... But, for that... Uh-oh. For some of this throwy stuff... Damn you. For this, this more momentum-y, throwy stuff, it's sort of better. Better's not the right word. It's different. Wow, what a difference. This is the Matrix AIO and it's freaking out again. Man, I am just done with these BetaFPV AIOs. They are just such a nightmare. Come on now. I ain't gonna be able to get it out, am I? Yes, I am. Yeah. And I'm having to use roll more. Can you see me having to roll and lose the horizon more? I'm doing that because there's not a physical piece of plastic to slow me down. It's a different flying style. What the fuck is going on right now? What? There we go. BetaFPV, for the love of God, can you please make an AIO that doesn't suck balls? My God, what are you doing? Why is it like this? Why is it that HappyModel makes these AIOs that are like fucking bomb-proof, and then you put 20 batteries through one of these BetaFPV AIOs and the VTX dies, or in this case the gyro's going to hell, although the gyro is just... I got frustrated and just went full throttle and broke it, so that's fine. The gyro is not necessarily BetaFPV's fault, but like, Jesus, come on. All right. I'm just waiting for this. This AIO is also the one where the USB port broke off, so it's fine. I'm just kind of waiting for it to die. And if that just happened, I'm totally cool with that. Let's power cycle it and see if video comes back. So we've got gray screen. We've got gray screen there with OSD. That means that the camera is not outputting video or... Oh, that sucks. I didn't want to break the camera. I wanted to break the AIO. The AIO could still be broken. If I put another camera on here... Oh, well, the frame is broken. So, there's that. That was stupid. I hate when I do that, man. But, boy. The, I don't know. God damn it. I didn't want to break this camera. That's super annoying. Let me, real quick. Let me grab another CO3 camera and plug it in and see if maybe I gotta pull this canopy off anyway, because it's broken. Let me see if maybe the AIO is what failed. So on the AIO, you've got the camera plug that can potentially fail, and then you've got the trace going from the camera plug to the OSD chip, and that can fail as well. And so hopefully that's what died in this case. Typically it's not. Typically it's the... Oh, hey! A wire broke off of the on the camera. So that's what happened. So cool. Didn't kill the camera, but the ground wire just broke off. You're not going to be able to see it. But yeah, sweet. Well, I didn't kill the AIO, though. That was the aim. I have another CO3 that I'll drop into another canopy and get this thing back. Let's go back to the grippy rig. So this opens up some pretty cool possibilities. This build with bi-blades. The bi-blades have been super slippery on all these other frames with narrow ducts. Now that we understand this, on a build like this, if this is too grippy for you, you go to bi-blades, right? That's cool. And now on the bi-blades, you get a little bit more efficiency, and they're lighter weight, so you get better response time, and it feels a little bit more crisp. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Again, once you understand this stuff, you can, like, massage it. You can make it work for you, is what I was trying to say there. Grippy rig. Here we go. Yeah, my God. Can you see? You can see it, can't you? Look at it corner. Look at it just stop. Oh my God. It is more of an adjustment than I thought. Stop it. Stop it. Really? It feels like I'm flying through a liquid rather than flying through like loose air. Fuck you. Yeah, I am struggling to get used to this because again, I've been flying those really slippery frames for a long time. Oh yeah, look, it's all decorated. Azalea is super into Chikawa, and so Maggie found a bunch of Happy Birthday Chikawa stuff on, I want to say, eBay. Look how this thing stops. Ready? See how it just slows down and stops? I'm not used to that. I have a little bit of nose down. Look how slow it. You can just cruise nice and slow. Man, I'm having a time. No, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't give the people what they want. Don't give them what they want. Don't do it. A full-blown trippy spin looks dumb, but if you get this kind of like corked orbit, it looks good. But boy, is it tough. Uh-oh. No, no, no! Oh, yeah. That shag carpet is lava sometimes. There we go. Hey, oh. Wow, what a difference, man. If you haven't flown a Cockroach V3 frame, this is your sign to get it. They're a great frame. They also have the little hookers on them so that you can use my cinematic camera mount setup, the Batwing mount with 0 up tilt and 0 props in view. There is a version of it with a little bit of up tilt. But that's not the point. The point of that mount is to have something super low up tilt. It's really fun. Let's do another one. I want to try to get used to this a little bit. Because this has the potential to be way more accurate. I just have to get my head on straight. I've got hundreds and hundreds of batteries on the other frames at this point. Whew! So that's harder. The ultimate power loop is absolutely harder with this setup. It's still doable, but this is a much less aerodynamic rig, and this is a move where we're asking this thing to go like 10 feet off throttle, right? We're asking this thing to go upside down, 0 throttle from all the way over here, all the way across. Those are album covers to give you an idea of scale. All the way through this, right? That's big. That's like at least 10 feet that we're asking it to do just on momentum. And now this setup is a lot less aerodynamic. And so it's going to be a little bit harder. Still doable. Ah. Still doable. God damn it. Still doable. But a lot harder. There we go. Man, this feels like lock the fuck in. See it just slow down there when I get it properly flattened out. It just slows right down. I'm still a little bit sick. Maggie picking up whatever this was kind of like gave it back to me. I felt like totally fine for a day or two. Fuck you. Yeah, I don't have air mode and a switch on this build. Oh God, it's in the garbage where it belongs for disobeying me. No, it obeyed me. I just suck. Wow, I did not expect that to be as noticeable. I sometimes when I do this testing, I'm just like, man, this is gonna be a nightmare. I'm not gonna be able to feel it. I'm gonna have to try to like talk through it. This is not one of those times. This is immediately noticeable. Like, it almost feels like it has less, in a way, it kind of feels like it has less up tilt, but it doesn't. It's just planet. There's more there, right? Like it has to push more air. And so when you back off, it's just gonna slow down. And that's the case sideways, that's the case forwards, it's the case backwards. Right? And so it's going to want to kind of like lock in more. And then for that ultimate power loop, you know, I'm bringing it up. I'm going full throttle here. And so this is totally fine. On this, when it's like this, when you're going full throttle, actually full throttle, you'd be going like this. There's no difference, right? These ducts, I took that one apart now, so I have to grab this other one. This is the light AF frame. The aerodynamic situation is pretty much exactly the same when you're going full throttle. But then as soon as you snap it in either direction, now it's a lot less aerodynamic. That's why I was having a problem getting it through that gate, right? I'm going through that bottom gate. I'm going full throttle. It's generating the same amount of speed, but then I'm going like this, right? Because I want to skim across the ceiling like this so that the camera is pointing where I'm looking so that you can actually see me go through the damn gate, because that's what looks cool. And so when it's skimming the ceiling like this, it's a big old brick flying through the air, versus that is a lot less of a brick. Make sense? That's wild. I'm really happy that makes a big difference, because I'm gonna start. What I'm not gonna do is like put quad blades on this and have like the ultimate slam on the brakes build, because then I've got to learn that muscle memory, and then I've got to learn a totally separate muscle memory for everything else. What I'm gonna do is put bi-blades on this, and so like this build with this draggy canopy gets bi-blades. I think I'm going to move a lot of builds to this V3 frame. Although the V3 frame is a little bit heavier. I don't know. We'll see. I try to kind of have the builds fly somewhat similar to one another. And so I'm going to keep builds. I'm going to have like one build on this frame, one build on this frame. But yeah, the setups that are on the thinner ducted frames, maybe I'm gonna start putting these more draggy canopies on them. This is gonna be the full-blown draggy build though, for sure. It's a 2G4. It just makes sense to have one, but I am gonna put it on the bi-blades, which will make it a little bit looser, and that'll be really kind of cool. So yeah, cool stuff, man. That was neat. That was really neat to see, to feel that difference. If you do this test, get on my Discord. Let us know what you think, or if anybody has done is doing it right now, because you have these parts floating around. Yeah, let us know. Streaming again tomorrow night. Who's gonna do this tonight? Fly a bunch of batteries, and tomorrow night at 10, come tell us about their experience. Anybody? That'd be pretty cool. All you need is a couple different frames, a couple different canopies. For the record, I also had to adjust between these two, between the cameras. The Runcam Nano 3 has a more narrow field of view, which makes it a little different to fly. Um, let me get caught up on chat here. Oh god, we're over time already. Cole Power says, I usually find myself going to into ESC configuration at least twice to get it right. Levster says, sometimes in turtle mode it spins wrong, but when you arm it, it flies normal. That can happen if you flip into turtle mode too quickly, I think. Levster says, I had this on some whoops. That's interesting. I've only ever noticed that if I'm like rushing my switches. Douglas 6 says, did you mention the weights of those? You know, I didn't. The draggy build should be a little bit heavier. Let's take a look. Although I took it all apart, but I have all the pieces. So the slippery builds and the draggy build being heavier is a disadvantage. More mass is not going to want to change directions. The slippery build is 17.5 grams. Now it's just a pile of parts. The grippy build is 18. So half a gram difference, and the grippy build is heavier. So it has more. It wants to carry its momentum more, but the aerodynamics took great care of that. What, man? I'm that's wild. This feels so much like my Cinewhoops. It's scary, and that's a good thing. I've really fallen in love with flying these Cinewhoops. Thank God, because it's 50% of my income and job and whatnot. But like there's times where they feel like like they're on sliders, right? Like in film and TVs, they'll build these giant rigs, either smaller rigs that are on sliders, or in with like big budget films, they'll build fucking railroad tracks basically, and they'll put cameras on these, and they'll truck these cameras around. Boy, those Cinewhoops with the nice strong ducts, they just track sometimes. And like, if you've got a cool subject or you're in a cool spot, there is nothing cooler than just a really solid, straightforward tracking shot where you're getting close to objects, right? Like, this is what we can do with FPV that nobody else can do, right? You can't do this shit with a helicopter because it'll kill things and chop everything up with its blades. You can't do it with a Mavic because you can't get that close to stuff, right? You don't have goggles on, you don't have that. Like, with a Mavic, with a photography drone, like, you can line it up and you can have like one tree, and like you pre-run it and you get it set up just right, and you back it off, you don't yaw it, you don't roll it, and then you just run it and you get close to like one object. But that's kind of it. You can't really do that with like multiple objects because of the screen, and you don't have goggles on and shit, right? With an FPV rig, man, you can, if you get it just right, you can like weave in and out and like shoot gaps in between. And man, if you do that with a rig that's got tall ducts, it's so cinematic. It's like you can really forget that it's FPV, and I love that. Like, I don't want my footage to scream FPV. I just want the footage to look good. I want anybody to be able to watch it and be like, whoa, like, that's cool. He went like under this and then over that. And like, when you start rolling back and forth, it starts to scream FPV. When you're like sliding all around, it kind of screams FPV. The Cinewhoops are so fun. Apparently I've set an alarm on this watch. I don't know how I did that. Well, that made it stop. But I don't want an alarm to be on this watch. Man, I haven't heard there it is, alarm 1. How do I turn you off? And now it says 12. That ain't it. Alarm 1. What about alarm 2? Well, that's off, but I think it was off. Where's alarm 2? Here's alarm 2. What the hell? Is there an alarm 3? No, just alarm 1 and 2. Why'd they go off now though? They were set for 12. Oh, now it just says 12. Oh, fuck. That ain't it. Time. Nope. Time. There we go. 5:18. Why would they? That's weird. Yeah. Non-aerodynamic rigs are fun, but you've got to work a little bit harder. You got to have good scenery to fly around. You got to have a good subject. You've got that in your front yard, in your backyard. You got to work a little bit harder to find it. Rigs that are slippery, rigs that are more dynamic, rigs that are slidey. You're going to flip, you're going to roll, you're going to do all kinds of crazy shit. And all that crazy shit that you're doing is what's interesting to watch. When you have a rig that trucks forward nice and solid, you can't rely on flying like a lunatic to make it interesting. You have to go into your garden in the front of your house and you have to look around. Maybe just fly the whoop in there and look around and look for the little gap here that lines up with the gap 20 feet later. And then there's a tree that you can whiz by, right? And so you try to build these lines that have not a lot of turning. And that becomes really, really cool looking because, you know, again, can't do that with anything else. And so it's a different kind of flying. It's harder, right? It's super easy to just... It's super fucking easy to just... It's way harder to... You can't even see me moving the sticks, but I'm moving them. This is a harder way of flying. Believe it or not. You got to look farther ahead. You got to plan stuff out. And so try it. Try it. It's fun. Mick Bucas says, yo, let's compare up tilt real quick. Well, I pulled it apart, but I looked at that before the stream. I forgot to mention that. When I showed you the up tilt, I was adjusting the up tilt a little bit. Up tilt is kind of easy. You can just see it, how much duct is in view or not. These cameras have a slightly different field of view. That kind of matters. With the BetaFPV mount, the camera sits up a little bit higher. But yeah, these had similar up tilt. I'm very sensitive to up tilt. And so when there is a difference in up tilt, I notice it and I'm like, let me fix that a little bit. The Mobula 6 mount with the camera on this AIO still has the ceramic antenna. And when the ceramic antenna is there, you can't push the up tilt super low on the Runcam Nano 3 here. So this guy actually, this is my Mobula 6 canopy setup that has a little bit more up tilt. I have another one on another build somewhere where this has, the ceramic antenna has broken off, and I run that at super low up tilt, and you can tell because there's a whole bunch of duct in view on the bottom of the frame. This particular rig, there's barely any duct in view. And that, you know, that just, it's got like, this is basically like 20 degrees of up tilt, which is pretty much exactly what the BetaFPV canopy has when it's not on fire. And that is also what the Quad 6.6 mount has on its most rearward setting. There's 3 holes on these to adjust the up tilt. But yeah, for flying in the house, 20 degrees of up tilt is 15 to 20 degrees of up tilt is just about right for freestyle. For racing, you're going to want more. But Gold Power says you abuse AIOs and wonder why they have mental health issues. Yeah, it's true. Gold Power, look at that. He says could be a torn wire. Good call. He also says I kind of think you might need higher rates or maybe a touch less expo. What are the rates on this rig? Rates are all the same on everything. That is super important, in my opinion. You want to run the exact same rates on every single thing. Rates are adjusting the speed that it rotates, and regardless of the aerodynamic situation, it's going to rotate exactly the same. If you look at the way that it rotates for two reasons. First and foremost, if you look at the way that it rotates, it's basically running through clean air. The duct is running through completely clean air, right? In the same way that like when you go full throttle, it's the thickness of the duct doesn't really matter. The other thing though is the PID loop. The PID loop is going to take whatever your rates are, and then regardless of the aerodynamic situation, it's going to hit those targets. It's going to hit those targeted rates. So yeah, always keep your rates the same. If you have a build that is really underpowered, it might not, and you're using a really high rotational rate, there's a chance that it might not be able to hit that rotational rate. I run a very low rotational rate, 700, and these rigs have mega powerful setups. So yeah, the rates are totally fine. If the rates are wrong, one of the things you'll notice is you'll under or over rotate on everything. And after a couple of seconds of getting used to this, flying slower, you know, when I wanted to go inverted, it would land flat inverted. When I wanted to pull it back around, it would land pretty flat. So yeah, keep your rates the same on everything. Cole Power says, imagine how cool you could have been if you 3D printed Chikawa cookie cutters and spray paint stencils. Alas, you are perfectly content without bursting yourself with knowledge of CAD, yeah. Although, I bet you if I search for it on... You know what? That's actually kind of cool. Hold on. Thingiverse. Chikawa, is that it? No, it's Chihuahua. There it is. Chikawa. Chii. I'm gonna... Little Boo kind of thinks that the 3D printer is cool, but if I 3D print something, she'll be like, oh my god, that's actually really cool. And there's a whole bunch of random weird Chikawa stuff on here. I'm gonna print one of these. Stand for push. That's too funny. There's a couple things. I think I'll print this. Good call. Lord says, what should you need to do if you plug in a 550 mAh battery and the whoop keeps flying away when you hit the throttle, but a 300 mAh will fly like it's supposed to? That wouldn't be a tuning thing. It sort of is. When the battery is heavier, the motors have to work harder and spin the props faster. And so what's probably happening, as long as the battery is not wobbling around, make sure the battery is not vibrating around in there. As long as it's not, well, so first and foremost, blame the mechanical system. Try new propellers and check your motors to make sure the motor shafts aren't bent. But what is probably actually happening is that the propellers are spinning faster and they're getting to a point where they're resonating. So they're having to work harder, they're spinning faster, and it's making some weird resonance rather, at that higher frequency, and then that's feeding into itself, and then it's flying away. So, as always, check the mechanical system first, fresh props, check that the motor shafts aren't bent. If they are, fix that situation, and that'll fix the whole thing. If that's not if that doesn't help, then, I mean, you can try moving. At that point, you kind of need Blackbox, because you need to go into Blackbox to find the frequency of that weird resonance, and then you need to put a filter on there. Alternatively, you can just back your PIDs off. So backing the PIDs off should fix that issue, but I bet you've got a prop that's bent or a motor shaft that's bent. So check that first. That's the right way to fix that problem. Cole Power says, learn CAD, do it for the kids. No, I can't, man. I'm this is just, you know, I just have so much. I'm so backed up on like everything. Cole Power says, bunch of Chikawa models out there, so not a bad idea to just download and print something. Yep. Benny Bravo says, what else would cause flyaways on an Air 75? Checked all ESCs and motor directions, but it's still happening. Tune is modest. Not sure what's up. Any ideas to check next? Bent props, bent motor shafts. Those are the two most common things. Those are the two most common things. I bet you those are kind of it. Uriel says Maggie trains him well. My compliments to Maggie. Most of this I learned in the divorce, to be totally honest with you guys. In the I was not a great partner. The divorce was more my fault than the other major factor. That's, you know, and in the months after, with weekly talk therapy and a lot of meditation, a lot of soul searching, a lot of figure, because I didn't want that. It had to happen, but I didn't want it. I didn't want to leave that person. And so I had to take, I didn't have to, but I chose to take a really long, hard look at the equity in the relationship and what I did do and what I didn't do. And I entered into this relationship with Maggie really understanding that, and she saw that, and she was very appreciative of that. And I've built on it, and I've grown to learn some things since then. But yeah, this all came from losing the person that I loved. And that was a very serious thing, and I didn't want to have that happen before. And, you know, like, I knew that I would find, like, it's, you know, that whole, like, oh, there's one perfect person, and that's the only person that you can truly love. You can learn to love lots of people. There are lots of people out there that you can fall madly in love with, and, like, it's not a contest, you know. It's not like this contest of, like, oh, I'll never find another. Come on, no, none of that. But yeah, most of these realizations came out of the time period that I was single after. Yeah, it was hard, but it was really good. And it was really important, you know. And it's a great example of, like, bad things in life can be, and sometimes you get forced to be, like, really, really good. You know, it feels weird to say that, but, like, it's true. You know, bad stuff will push you to grow, make changes, and that can be a really good thing. You kind of gotta make it a good thing. It's easy to fall into a pit of despair, but yeah. Very lifey live stream today. I hope you guys are cool with that. I don't care if you guys are cool with that. I gotta fill 10 hours a week, so you gotta listen to me talk about life sometimes. Now, I talking about things other than FPV, I find to be very important, and as if not more important than talking FPV on this shit, because yeah, there's a whole big world out there, and it's fucking hard. And it gets harder every day, you know? There's a big group of people that seem to be hell-bent on making everything so much harder for every single one of us, so that they can just hoard more. And so now more than ever, I appreciate that you guys are willing to listen to me talk about life stuff, and it helps me too, you know? Like, I'm talking through some of this stuff as we're kind of going through it. So, yeah. Cold Power says, sage wisdom for finding lines at eye level. Can't really do that with lines above 6 feet. Yeah, it's true. Lebster says, I go over to MadTech soon. Gang, have a great night to you all. Oh, shit, yeah, I'm on, the MadTech is streaming. Get your asses over there. Don't hang out here. I'm talking about fucking relationship nonsense. Cold Power says, it was when you were banking rolling, I felt like you were shallow on the angle you needed to hit the gap. Under rotation, I just look at the rates on that rig. I haven't changed my rates in about 6 or 7 years, so there's no chance that this doesn't have the right rates on it. Plus, I would notice it instantly. It's not moving as I'm expecting it to move more, and then I'm expecting to have to correct more, but it's not. and like I can feel it. It's hard for me to articulate it, but I can just feel it. It's not being where I think that it should be, and then I'm overcorrecting, and then I'm if I put 20 batteries through this, I would be, and I will. I'll be locked in. Cole Power says one perfect person, more like zero. Yeah, that's actually true. There is the one perfect person thing is it's just silly. You find someone that you're somewhat compatible with, and then you build with them. That's the way that it is. You know, you'll be more compatible with some people than others, and if you find someone that you're more compatible with others and they're also single, there you go. Build a life. Thanks for hanging, friends. Thanks for listening to me drone on about nonsense. CiottiFPV.com to support me if you like this kind of stuff and you want to see it continue. Join my Patreon. Bump up a tier if you're already on the Patreon. If you're on the Tiny Whoop tier and you want to stay on that tier, but you want to give $6 a month instead of $5, you can do that. You can change your dollar amount, but stay on the same tier. So yeah, if you want to get entered into the Tiny Whoop giveaways only, but you got an extra couple bucks, there you go. You can go to $7 or $8 or $10 or whatever you want, or $6.90 if you want to make me laugh. Thanks for hanging, friends. Here's some more chasing RC drift cars. Nah. Here's that big. Here's the big dive. Nope, I closed that window. Here's chasing the RC drift cars. See you guys tomorrow night. Bye. Thanks for hanging.